So first, we're doing port trucks. And what I was interested in is we've got, a big port. It's the third biggest on the East Coast after New York and Savannah. And so we're interested in which gateways to our region those port trucks use. And the reason we're interested in that, and here are the gateways that I picked, about 12, I think, gateways. And we've got a prioritization tool for projects. And so part of that tool considers the port. And so I needed that. And then there are a bunch of studies that VDOT and others are doing, and we wanted to inform that. And then we wanted to support some funding applications. So just yesterday we applied, is it infra, is that right? For $150 million. So that kind of thing. So since it's port trucks, I use the commercial vehicles and the heavy vehicles. You can, choose between the, I don't know what they call them, light and heavy. I don't know.
Weight class, yeah.
The heavy, and then I did the OD analysis. And so here's the little shot of that. So, and this is the result that I got. And Amir was talking about GIS, and he mentioned me. I don't know if y'all picked up on that. He said, "Here's some dots like Rob likes," because we were talking about that in the back. And so this is, I did this in Esri, ArcView, because I like the dots, because to me the shading, I don't even know what the shading means. Red, yellow, and then the bigger the zone, it exaggerates your findings. So dots are dots, I love them. But anyway, the problem here, as you can see, is I got very few dots out here. We believe this is the big port. And like I said, between New York and Savannah, that's a lot of, distance. And so we believe our port is serving North Carolina and, West Virginia. And these dots, look at these sorry little dots out here. So I figured out that what it's doing, it's this 5-minute stop thing. And the trips are, as far as streetlight is concerned, the trips, most of them are stopping inside our region. And I don't know if that's at truck stops or, I don't know exactly what, but they're not getting out. And we believe, being like I said, the third biggest port on the East Coast, that these trucks are getting out. And so I was getting a very small sample size from these dots out here. And so my gateway numbers didn't make any sense because they're based on this very small sample size. Are you with me there? Okay. So what to do? Well, I got the idea that we'd run the trips from the distribution centers and not from the ports themselves, because the distribution centers tend to be, farther out towards the edge. And so we contacted the port and we said, which are your key distribution centers? And they gave me a map, and I plugged them into Streetlight. I drew zones, around them to make them origins, destinations, that kind of thing. Okay, so this is the result that I got from that analysis. And the highways are hard to see. Actually, the highways are turned off on here. But you can see here, the port is in here, and you can see the trucks running up 64, 95, 17, 64 out to Charlottesville, and 81 out here, out 58, and this is I-85 down through North Carolina, and I-95 down through North Carolina and South Carolina. So this, and Eastern Shore. So this looks a lot better. The trips are getting out of the region. And again, some of these could be truck stops or whatever, but still they're getting beyond my gateways, so I know which gateways, they're using. So I love that map. I don't know about y'all. I mean, are y'all falling in love with dots as much as I love this. So maybe I'm a nerd, like somebody said, right? Okay. All right. So here are my gateways again. I don't need to bore you with those, but Those are our gateways plugged in the street light there. You know, when you zoom out, it just uses that little pin. And this is my findings. So after all that, which gateways are being used? And so I-64, our main interstate, not surprisingly, is the biggest. And 58, which is our U.S. highway going out to serve North Carolina and vicinity. And then 460, which is an interesting highway because it's sort of parallel to 64. And we have a hard time knowing, for example, from the model, you know, hard time knowing which trips are going to use 460 and which are going to use 64. So this was very helpful. And this actually is a little bit surprising, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. How do you back up? Just hit up or, okay, there we go. So I actually broke it down between the peninsula and the south side. But anyway, here's the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, and we figured out that some trucks, to avoid DC, where some of y'all live, they're actually going to the northeast by this way. So they're backtracking and coming up, so which was an interesting finding. Okay, so that's my result, and it confirmed what we thought, but it's valuable to have the data. Then, so how did we use it? Well, like I said, we provided it to these different studies that VDOT was doing, VDOT and others were doing. And we can also use it in our prioritization tool because you get 10 points if you're increasing access to port facilities. Well, before we just had to guess at it, but now with this gateway information, we can make a more educated guess when assigning those points to projects.